Be honest. Have you ever sworn, really sworn, you'd cut back or quit, only to watch yourself do the exact opposite? You plan, you promise, you mean it. Then you crash and burn. Meanwhile, other people sip and stop and walk away from a half-full glass like it's nothing. You're stuck in a loop that feels insulting to your intelligence. If that hits close to home, this video is for you. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe, and this is Second Act Sobriety. Today, I'm exploring a simple, powerful truth. Alcoholism makes no sense, and that's exactly why trying to make it make sense will keep you stuck. I spent 40 years on the front lines of medicine, treating every version of addiction while wrestling with my own. Now, I'm more than 10,000 days sober. By the end of this video, you'll understand why just drink like everyone else is a trap, why willpower isn't the missing ingredient, and how a medical lens unlocks a way forward. We're going to trade the impossible question, why can't I be normal, for an actionable one, how do I build a life that works? Here's the pattern. You make your clear plan. 2 drinks, then only water. A trigger shows up, stress, anger, boredom, celebration, and the plan collapses. Morning comes, and with it, regret, shame, and new promises. It's not for lack of effort. You've tried all the tricks. Only beer, only weekends, only at home, never at home. Eat more first, alternate with water, switch to wine. You've counted, tracked, and journaled. You've held out carrots and sticks. Some nights you do stop at 2 and think, finally, I've got it cracked. Next week you use the same game plan, but you wake up hoping you can find your car. That inconsistency is why it feels insulting. If you can do it once, why not every time? Well, here's the answer. Because what failed you wasn't your strategy or your character. It was your brakes. Alcohol short-circuits your brain's neural pathways, the very systems that enforce your plan. Once these brakes falter, your choice changes. To you, it feels irrational. To your brain under alcohol's influence, it's predictable. What the hell is going on? Those affected become consumed with a hunt for the answer. Humans hate uncertainty. In fact, we'll accept a wrong answer before I don't know. Our entire economy thrives on this trait. Where alcoholism is concerned, the cure comes packaged as, buy this powder, take that pill, try this 6-week protocol. Medicine isn't blameless. Taking advantage of our patients' desire for an explanation, we doctors have far too often handed out guesses wrapped as facts. We imply that we know the answers. You're too stressed. You're too social. You're not social enough. You didn't eat. It's your job. It's your merit. Maybe pieces of those are true. But if they were the real cause, fixing them would fix the drinking. For alcoholics, it doesn't. Too many medical professionals cling to the folklore that still dominates our culture. For every message saying addiction is medical, you'll hear 1,000 portraying it as a weakness. That stigma mutes honesty. I've seen patients bravely admit, I can't control my drinking, and get told, well, just stop. Telling a diabetic to try harder to make insulin would get you laughed out of grand rounds. With alcohol, we still say this nonsense out loud. The result? Shame, secrecy, and more confusion. Add all this together, and alcoholism makes no sense for the patients, for the families, or for the caregiver. Our framework for understanding it isn't up to the task. That framework has been corrupted by misinformation and judgment. I firmly believe we must start over. The good news? If we set aside our old thinking, a new, more accurate model can be built. One that supports the idea that alcoholism is not a choice or moral failing, but a medical condition, a reality supported by scientific evidence and clinical experience. We know that alcohol affects the brain's inhibitory system, the internal brakes that normally say, enough. For most people, a drink softens the edges, but doesn't erase the brakes. For some, once alcohol is present, those brakes malfunction. The rational stop signal is delayed, distorted, or drowned out. That's why you can plan one outcome and live another. Once alcohol disrupts these chemical pathways, limiting further use becomes more difficult, and this is progressive over time. This correlates with the observable pattern of signs and symptoms in those affected. Control is lost as a consequence of the abnormal disinhibition brought about by the substance. All of a sudden, viewed in this way, things begin to make sense. I propose we call this chemically mediated disinhibition syndrome, CMDS. That mouthful just means the chemical you ingest causes a loss of inhibition. It's not a moral collapse. It's disinhibition driven by chemistry. It sounds foreign, it sounds clinical, but that's the point. Its novelty means it isn't burdened by stigma, and it actually describes the mechanism. Yes, it's medical jargon, but it reflects the disease more accurately, and I believe it would be more acceptable to people who resist pejorative terms like alcoholic. Do we know exactly why some brains are wired for CMDS and others aren't? No, not yet. Genetics, development, environment, it's a complex mix. But we don't need the entire blueprint to douse a house fire. CMDS contradicts that makes no sense feeling. Accepting its basic premises provides a starting point. It provides a plausible answer to the question, why can't I drink like other people? Accepting CMDS means being able to move on to the next question, whose answer promises something satisfying. How do I live well without alcohol? That question has 1,000 useful answers, and searching for those answers can become a self-sustaining adventure. The effort and energy previously consumed by the why me mindset now becomes available for this endeavor. The futility of trying to outsmart or outwork our weakness is replaced with the recognition that CMDS is part of us. Although this is not our fault, it is our responsibility, and it will require that we live lives free from the distortion of drugs or alcohol. From that starting point, over time, with repetition, those committed will learn that we can change. Old habits give way to new. A new life emerges, built on the foundation of sobriety, made necessary by a medical condition that actually does make sense. Fortunately, CMDS limits us in no other way. Your brakes are fine until the chemical arrives. It simply demands that we live our lives authentically. Clarity is necessary to escape alcohol's trap, and clarity begins by understanding and accepting the disease. Acceptance can scare people because it can be mistaken for giving up. In reality, accepting CMDS means quitting a game that was rigged. That's not less life, that's more of it. Alcoholism will continue to make no sense as long as false premises are believed. And that's exactly why logic alone won't solve it. CMDS gives you a medical construct. It stands on data, not false premises. Acceptance of this truth gives you your future back. Only you can choose to do so. If you do, buckle up, because you'll be in for a wild and miraculous ride. If this helped, subscribe to Second Act Sobriety. Hit the bell, give us a like, and comment below. Share it so it reaches people who need it. Next, watch my video on why rebranding alcoholism as CMDS reduces shame and clarifies treatment. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Remember, giving up drinking doesn't mean giving up anything real. It means opening the door to the life you deserve. I'll see you in the next one.